Hello, everyone. First, I want to apologize if this shakes. I am trying to record this on my webcam on my computer because I don't have anywhere to prop my phone. And I've got the computer propped on the edge of the sofa. So, and I apologize if you hear my dog clicking around in the background, her little claws clicking on the wood, or if you can hear my washing machine, it is going. But first, I wanted to say hello to all of the new people who are here. I went on to my channel a few days ago and I was like, I am at over 300 subscribers all of a sudden, which is amazing. And I know, and there goes the water, if you can hear that. I don't know if you can hear that. My washer's draining, but I know that compared to other channels, 300 is not that many, but it's a lot for me, and it's a milestone because it's like my channel started like with like maybe, I don't know, like 20 subscribers or something like that, and I didn't really make many videos. And I know most of the people on here that have subscribed, I'm pretty sure are dancers. My most viewed videos, there's my dance content. So today's video is definitely for you. I'm hoping that this channel, if I continue making videos, it's not just going to be dance content because there's a lot more to me than just ballet, but ballet is a huge part of my life. Unfortunately, it's not as big a part of my life as I would like it to be at this moment, which, it's a financial thing. We all know ballet is expensive. For those of you who haven't watched many of my videos, or if you don't follow me on Instagram or anything like that, I'll give you a little background on my dance experience. I started ballet at the age of 31. I am an adult dancer. I started at 31. I'm 35 now. I've been dancing almost 4 years. So in June, at the end of June, it'll be 4 years that I have been doing ballet. It's been a bit derailed because of the pandemic. A couple of years ago when the pandemic started, everything got derailed. My training got derailed. So I started June 2018. I progressed really, really quickly. By about 6 months, I was ready for point work. And I mean actually ready. I don't mean I want to dance on point and my teacher let me. I was ready. My technique was ready. My balance, my strength was ready. And you think you're ready, but then when you get on point, you realize it's a whole other ball game. It requires so much more strength than you could ever imagine. And it actually changes your technique in so many ways, and it makes you so much stronger. I didn't start point until about 9 months because I couldn't afford the shoes because they're, I wear gainers and they are $200 a pop. And I haven't been on point in a while. When the pandemic happened, a bunch of stuff in my life happened. I moved place to place to place, and I couldn't continue taking even online classes, so my point shoes have been put aside for a while now. But pretty much that is where I come from. I obsessively research ballet. I talk to many dancers. I talk to, professionals, pre-professionals, teachers, and I learn as much as I possibly can about ballet technique, about placement, all of those things. And I think placement is something that's not talked about enough in adult classes, and placement is really where it comes from. It is important, and it is where it all comes from. Without placement, your ballet technique will never progress. It will always just kind of be imitation. Placement and muscle engagement, and the placement actually leads to the muscle engagement, and this is a whole other video which might happen someday, but without placement, everything you're doing is basically an imitation of true technique, which was what I was doing before point work. And then point work forced my body to learn placement and learn how to use the right muscles, and then I was actually started having correct technique, and I wasn't just imitating technique. But yeah, so that's my story. I've had many different teachers. Some, younger, some older, who trained pre-professionally, some who danced professionally. One of my teachers was a soloist for New York City Ballet and trained directly under George Balanchine. So I've had a slew of different teachers. I've learned stuff from many different methods, and I have researched many different methods and kind of try to incorporate everything I learn into my dancing. That being said, today's video is about ballet class structure because I need to make this video. I have had a small handful of classes that did not really follow the classic structure of a ballet class. Sometimes, you might have a class where your teacher wants to focus in on a specific combination and work on it and work on it, week after week or something like that. And that's fine as long as when you're doing it, especially if it's like an allegro, that you're ready for it. A couple of years ago, I had a teacher that we came straight off of bar and started with Grand Allegro in the center, which is absolutely incorrect. I've had a handful of classes recently where we come off of bar and it's kind of a more like condensed bar where we're not technically warm enough, and we immediately start with Petit Allegro, which is also incorrect. There is a reason that ballet is structured the way it is structured. I've heard from people, other, beginners, and they say, well, I hate bar. Why can't we just go into the center and do all the center stuff? That's the dancing, whatever. Bar is vital in a ballet class. Bar, number one, is where you are honing your technique. It is where you are training your turnout, you are training your placement, you are training your muscles, you're strengthening yourself, and it is also the place where you are slowly warming up your body before you move into the center. Bar has its structure and center has its, and they actually kind of follow a similar structure. And if you're wondering what is the structure of ballet class, pick up a ballet class CD, for the music for ballet class. Not all of them have this, but most of them do. Some of them just have the name of the song, but most of them will have each thing is titled for what it's for in order. So I've opened up, I have ballet music with David Howard. David Howard is a famed ballet teacher. He has many different CDs. He has passed away. He's many years ago. So this is basically what this looks like. Okay, we start with bar. We start with plie. Well, sometimes there's warm up. You'll warm up before plie. Not always. Some teachers have you warm up on your own and then you start straight off with plie. So plie, tendu in first, tendu in fifth, dégagé first, balançoire first, dégagé fifth, pas de cheval, rond de jambe, frappé, fondu, rond de jambe en l'air, petit battement, and then adagio or stretching, and then grand battement. So oftentimes some of these will be left out, like you might not do pas de chevals, you might not do balançoires, you oftentimes frappé and petit battement is combined together. Oftentimes, you might not do fondus, but you might do développés, and that's all kind of wrapped up in the adagio, or you will just do a stretch at the bar before you do grand battement. So the structure of bar, you slowly build up to higher extensions and quicker movements. And then the same thing is in the center. When you go into the center, you generally will start with a tendu combination. The point of that is to find your balance. It is to recenter yourself, find your placement again away from the bar, because yes, you're not supposed to be gripping the bar really hard, but the bar is there and your brain is aware of it. You have a different kind of center when you're at the bar versus when you're actually in the center and there's no bar there for you, and you really have to find that center and find that placement and find those muscles. And it's really good to start with something like tendu because it's not fast. It is not something big and showy. It is something that is really good at getting you in your center. You will usually go from tendu, you'll start doing things like pirouettes, you will do ballet combinations, and then you'll do adagio, and then you will work your way up to faster movements, petit allegro, and then grand allegro. You'll do turns across the floor. Sometimes turns across the floor will come before grand allegro, sometimes it'll be after grand allegro. It just depends on the teacher, depends on how they've structured that specific class that day. Sometimes your turns across the floor will be combined with your grand allegro. It just really, it can just be depending on the combinations the teacher came up with and what they choreographed. You can even combine your tendus and your pirouettes and your balancés and your pirouettes. Like, it doesn't have to be like completely separate like that. You can combine some of them. However, if you notice, bar and center have this structure where they start small and they build. And the point of that, number one, and my washing machine is now singing. It just finished its cycle. It's gonna do that multiple times. If you can hear it, I apologize. The point of doing that is to prepare the body. The structure of ballet, the structure of a ballet class, is to prepare the body for bigger movements and warm up the muscles to be prepared for those movements, because you should not be doing high extensions, big jumps, any type of jumping, anything that requires extension of the leg when your body is not warm enough, when your muscles are not warm enough, when you don't have enough blood pumping through your body. You can pull a muscle, your muscles will, sometimes mine personally will contract. They will respond by the next day. My hamstrings will be tight, my quads will be tight, my calves will be tight, my hip will hurt. Like, my body responds by contracting if I do something that my muscles aren't warm enough for. And it's not just that your muscles are warm enough, but that slowly building up helps build your adrenaline, so that by the time you get to that point near the end of class, you have all of this adrenaline and all this blood pumping, and you can really, pull off a big jump. You have more energy. It might seem counterproductive to do especially adagio. Adagio is so hard and it's so slow and it requires so much, and you're out of breath after it, even though it's slow. And you think, now I have to go do turns and jumps after this. But the truth is, the more your heart rate is going, the more adrenaline and the more energy you're going to have to do those things, versus coming straight off of the bar and just requiring your body to jump. It's much harder to come off of the bar and require your body to jump, or even especially if your bar was shortened, or you spent a lot of time talking about technique so you cooled down. Like, oftentimes, like, I'll take a class, and if a specific teacher spends too much time on teaching their combination at bar or explaining it or explaining technique, and you're standing there listening, your body is cooling down, and then your muscles aren't warm enough to then progress to the next step, and that's not safe. I've had many times where I've had classes where I have ended up sitting down because of some issue that I'm having. Like, there's, sometimes I get like anxiety that will happen and I'll have to sit down, or I'm just really defeated about something and I'll sit out a combination and then I'll get up and do it again. And my teacher came to me, this is my balancing teacher, and he's like, I'm really concerned that you're sitting down so much and then dancing again, you're letting your body cool down and then you're dancing again, and it's not good for your body. And he's absolutely right. Doing anything when your body is not warm enough is dangerous. That's why, like, if you watch Catherine Morgan, she will say, do not do a big stretch before class. Do not do like your foot in your hand over your head stretch before class, like, when you're stretching before class, because it's not safe. Your muscles are not warm enough. Unless you have run laps around the studio, don't do it. Do that when your body's warm. I don't even like stretching between bar and center. I like to wait till after class when my body is like really, really warm, because then I know, like, it's gonna be better for my body. I'm gonna get more out of my stretch, and I'm not gonna injure myself. Oftentimes if I have to stretch between bar and center, I will notice my hamstrings are tighter. than they are at the end of class, when my body is super warm, my heart rate is up, my blood is pumping. And for me, I have circulation problems. So I can really gauge when my body is ready and when it's not. Like when I'm too cold, like I had a class yesterday, by the time we got into center, and this was a class where we started with Petit Allegro, we got into center, my toes were freezing. And I'm like, my feet aren't going to respond. My toes are freezing. And for me, like point work, I can't go in and put point shoes on at the top of class, especially not in the winter. I have to take a point lesson or, take one class and then another class in order to do point work because of my circulation. My blood has to be pumping so much that my feet will not end up with the circulation being cut off when I put them into point shoes. But I think it's really important to pay attention to ballet class structure. This video is a little bit all over the place. I'm just really impassioned about this, especially because of my experience with, structure being cast aside. I don't mind, I love Adagio, so I don't mind a class where we go into the center and when, we spend most of the class working on an Adagio, on a really long, complicated Adagio, which is basically more like, doing like a rehearsal or a variation, I don't mind that, especially because it's not really putting the body at as much risk as jumping would be, and it's also helping the body get really, really warm. Like a class with a lot of Adagio work, I leave like drenched in sweat, and I love that, and I love dancing in a warm studio. I don't like when they like turn on the fans and turn on the air conditioning. I get cold immediately, and then it's over for me. And honestly, a class that follows the traditional structure, I get so much more out of it. I learn so much more, I progress so much more, and I leave in a really good mood. I have like this like hit of like serotonin and dopamine, and I feel really great. And then a class that starts with an allegro, and I know that this is incorrect, and I know that my shins are going to hurt because I get shin splints. If I'm not prepared for jumping, the impact causes shin splints. I know that if I'm starting like a center like that, I usually leave really defeated, and I feel really crap, and I didn't enjoy the class, and I didn't get a lot out of it. I didn't find my balance or my center, and so all the combinations after that are all clunky and awkward and uncoordinated. So, yeah, that's, I don't really know what else to say about that. I know that ballet is structured that way for a reason, and if you really look and study, why certain methods are the way they are, like Vaganova method, it came into being with a purpose. It pays very close attention to the dancer's anatomy. Cicchetti did too. I think both of them especially structured their methods to best suit the dancer's body and best care for the body and take anatomy into consideration, take safety into consideration. Placement exists in order to protect the body from injury. Holding certain muscles protects other parts of the body from being too loose and flimsy and losing balance and injuring something. The reason you hold your glutes and you drop your tailbone and you hold your glutes is to stabilize your low back so that it won't get injured, so you won't hurt yourself. Yes, it also creates a powerhouse so that you can jump and so that you can actually do the things you need to do, so that technique has this very clean look. Because the truth is, and we're getting back into placement, which is a whole other story, the truth is, without the placement, without the muscle engagement, even if you're really good at imitating the technique, it won't look clean. It just won't look clean. It'll look uncoordinated. It will look sloppy. It won't have that very clean, precise look to it. And that is everything that dancers work on perfecting. If you look at dance, like, you can look at it, you can see it in figure skating as well. Like if you look back generations and you watch old footage of dancers, there, you know, and it's not just their extensions evolved into high extensions. It's if you look at their upper body and you look at how well they hold their upper body or not. Like old footage of dancers of yesteryear, there's not as much upper body control, and so the movement is not as clean and streamlined, and you know, it doesn't have that ethereal look that it has now. You can create this kind of really regal and ethereal look when you actually use your muscles and you hold the correct muscles and you work with the correct muscles and you're placed correctly. And this is a whole other video. I am sorry, and this video is 20 minutes, but I just wanted to come on and discuss this because it's something that I'm really passionate about, especially right now. And I also wanted to say hey to all the new faces, and I'm not really sure what my next video will be. I have, you know, I kind of want to take you guys on a walk. I'm not sure where this channel is gonna go, what its really true progression will be. If it's just gonna be a chat channel, if it's gonna be just a vlog, if it's gonna be anything else, I'm really not sure. I just basically have a webcam or a phone. I don't have any fancy equipment. I've said this in other videos. Don't have fancy equipment, don't have editing software other than like iMovie. But yeah, so share your thoughts below if you are beginners and you have any questions about ballet class, about ballet technique, anything about me. You can ask it down below. If you are pre-professional, professional, a teacher, if you want to just say hey, if you want to correct me on anything I might have gotten wrong, definitely do so. I am open to learning as much as I can from all methods of ballet, all techniques of ballet, and definitely say hey. And I will see you guys in another video. Bye.